And we are live on the United Public Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM New Orleans. How cool is that? To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave para peeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is Father Shawn's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Father Shawn Whittington. I'm an ordained Catholic priest with the United States Old Catholic Church. I'm a fully professed brother with the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary. I'm a team member with the Society of St. Benedict, and I'm co-founder with my wife of ghostbegone.biz. And yes, I'm that guy on Eli Roth Presents the Legion of Exorcists on Travel Channel, currently streaming everywhere. And on that note, I want to thank everybody that continues to discover the show on a streaming service here and there and reaching out to me with such wonderful support and compliments. I really appreciate that. So God bless you all for that, who's been doing that recently. What else do I want to tell you guys? If there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. And if you go there to visit, there's a lot of cool things to see. Both my books are there. God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry, and God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry 2. You can get them a little less expensive on Amazon, and they also come available in an audio version, which is cool. But if you get them off the website, they leave my office here. I autograph them, and they arrive to you enclosed in a beautiful house blessing kit, which might come in handy. And another beautiful thing about that is that most of the proceeds from every sale of every copy of my books off of the website go to support stjude.org and the ASPCA. So how cool is that? You get to help some of the neediest children on the planet and the animals too. It's a beautiful thing. What else is on my website? My course, my online course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare. It is a 12-week online college-level course for all you true warriors for Christ out there that want to learn how to draw your line in the sand, make a stand, circle the wagons, and put up a good fight, God forbid, the fight of your life against, God forbid, true evil, if that ever comes calling. That's the course for you. You can enroll there at the website. If you want more information about the course before making that type of commitment, reach out to me, and we can talk about it. I'm easy to find. And we'll talk about it. What else is there? There's a place where you can make an appointment to speak with me about your spiritual issues, not paranormal, but spiritual. But most importantly, brothers and sisters, I know times are tough, trust me. But my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work helping people with their paranormal issues. So if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send my ministry in a small donation. I promise you it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we'll put it to good use. We have a great guest today, but you all already knew that. That's why you tuned in. She's in the green room. She's going to be out here very shortly. But first, another really cool thing about my Friday show is that I have an awesome co-host. She had her own show like this a few years back that ran for a long time. It was very popular. She's also a lifelong paranormal experiencer. I love her. I respect her. She's the owner of Stellium Books, my publisher. Please welcome to the show, Annette Munich.
Hi, Father Shawn. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here today.
What are you doing?
Having some coffee and looking forward to a good show. And I want to say hello to Michelle, Infinite Joy, Typical Skeptic Broadcast, Camilla Rosa. They're all waiting in the chat room and joining us today. And we're giving away the Medjugorje bracelet.
Oh, yeah. We didn't have Thanksgiving week, and happy belated Thanksgiving to you. We didn't get a chance to talk about how you want to go about doing the bracelet giveaway. How did you want to do that?
What I'm going to do is for all the people that are here live and for anybody up until midnight that listens to the show later because they couldn't be here, if they type in the word bracelet, they'll be entered into a drawing and we'll file winning at midnight. So I'm extending it for the rest of the day because not everybody can come. Roberta just showed up. I do this for Roberta. She my friend. Heidi just showed up. So hello, everybody. And we have a great guest. So I'm super excited and really excited about the topics because it's going to be interesting and different.
I promise you, and I was talking to her about this in the green room. You guys are meeting for the first time. I know you two are going to love each other and get along great. I'm going to really try to give you a chance to chat with her more and not hog the
You know, that's okay. People want to come and see you, Shawn. I'm your sidekick. I'm your Robin to the Batman or something.
Well, let me tell you something. I hope everybody out there within the sound of my voice had a wonderful and blessed Thanksgiving. I hope you're not having too much of a painful Black Friday and spending too much of your hard-earned money, but it's a necessary thing. Some people really go into. I need to come up with something over the weekend for Cyber Monday, maybe with my course and my books or something. Maybe I'll have something available for people for Monday. But yeah, are you anything else you want to tell anybody before we bring out our wonderful guest?
Maybe next week we could do one of the blessed frankincense. And then I'm going to do a Christmas bracelet. I got all kinds of people going bracelet, 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 bracelet. But we got the blessed frankincense for the holidays. And that would be nice. So we can really kind of do some nice giveaways for the holiday season. That would be cool.
That's right. This coming Sunday is the first Sunday of Advent. We go into Advent, so that'll be. I'll make sure I have some out to show everybody next week. And I've already blessed all of the incense you sent me, so they're little boxes we will send to people, and we'll do the same thing. All I got to do is type in incense.
And I'll just write their names and put them in a drawing. And if you want to take a picture of one of the boxes on a white sheet of paper, we can show it on Facebook.
Very cool. All righty, young lady. You look very pretty today. Do you want to meet our guest?
I sure do.
What can I say about her? I love her and respect her too. It feels like I've known her forever. I've known her a long time. I consider her a good friend. She actually is a former student who took my course, graduated it with flying colors. You know what? I wasn't planning to ask her about the course, but I'd love to know. She's so busy that I'd love to know if maybe some of the things she learned in the course helped her with any cases. But this is the first time I've had her on the show in a while. So, brothers and sisters, she's a lifelong paranormal experiencer herself. She's going to say she's not, but I consider her a paranormal authority. She's an author. She's just really, really cool. She's the founder of CCPI, Colorado Coalition of Paranormal Investigators. And you guys already knew all that. Please give a big, warm paranormal ministry family welcome to the one and only Clarissa Vazquez.
Hey, Clarissa.
Hi.
Welcome.
What are you doing?
Well, right now I am sitting on my sofa surrounded by my kitty cats talking to you fine people.
Well, listen, I can't think. You look very pretty today, too.
Well, thank you.
I can't think of anybody that doesn't know who you are, but for the few out there that don't, your resume is goes on and on and on and on. Take as long as you'd like to introduce yourself to everybody and let them know a little bit about yourself.
So I am Clarissa Vazquez. I founded the Colorado Coalition of Paranormal Investigators, CCPI, in 2004. And we are one of the longest continuous running paranormal research organizations in the state of Colorado. I'm also the founder, or not the founder, but the author of 8 books about ghosts and the paranormal, with a 9th title getting ready to drop in January. And yeah, I'm a graduate of Father Shawn's class and a warrior for Christ. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Well, while we're on that topic, and we'll also get into the book, I would like to know from you, and we should have already had this discussion. You passed my course with flying colors, And I would like to know if anything that you learned from that course actually helped you with any cases or helped you help others with any cases that they were dealing with that they might have been in over their head or out of their, out of their wheelhouse and up against something there, a little more dark, a little more malevolent they weren't used to. Have you experienced that?
Well, as you know, myself and my associate, Reverend Robert Irwin, both took your class at the same time, and we really enjoyed it. But praise God, we haven't had to use it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. For a while, we were encountering back to back to back malevolent entities, and we decided, hey, we're pretty knowledgeable, we're pretty experienced, but you can never learn too much. And so we took your course, we've taken a bunch of others, but and it's almost as if it's known now that we are even more educated than we used to be. So they haven't been showing their nasty faces.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, we haven't needed to use it lately, but there is so much good information in your course. It's very in depth, very knowledgeable, and I know you and I discussed right after Robbie and I finished taking your course that you need a master class. You've got the intro course. You need a master class.
That's so funny you bring that up because I've been fine tuning it a little bit because I get people that reach out to me interested in taking the course from all different walks of life,
Mm-hmm.
all different religious belief systems. So I can't beat a Jewish person over the head
Right.
with hardcore Catholicism belief system because it's just not going to resonate with them too much.
Right.
And so I've been fine tuning. Not everybody gets the same course. I meet with the people and I get to know everybody and I get to find out where their religious belief system or not they have in place
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit about their background because I want to uh, put in their lay in their lap things that they're going to actually really work for them
Mm-hmm.
with still that goal uh, in place to really have them prepared. And
Right.
then some people, trust me, I get people that reach out to me that are diehard atheists. They don't believe anything, but they just want to be ready, or they don't believe in anything, but they've experienced dark, malevolent things, and which that always surprises me how someone can believe in that but not believe in something else. But
Right.
I have to say, I haven't had anybody knock on my door after taking my course and throw all the books and all the stuff back at me and get mad at me. Everybody's loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really helped a lot of people. So that makes me feel good. So yeah, you passed it with flying colors. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I spent Thanksgiving at home by myself, just me and the kitty cats. We put the Christmas tree up, full of all of the ghost ornaments that I hand make every year, and it'll likely come down this weekend, but it's up for now. You know.
I'm gonna make another comment here, and this will probably be the last one I make before I let you and Annette go at it and chat a bit. And please forgive me ahead of time if this is something you don't want to talk about, and if you don't, please just say, Reb, I'd rather just move on off this topic, and that's cool. But I feel that I wouldn't be your friend
Mm-hmm.
if I didn't at least mention. I don't know if this is your first interview that you're doing since taking
It
about
is.
6 months off. That's what I thought. But and I didn't mention anything to Annette about this, so she's probably going to be upset with me that I didn't mention anything. But you lost your husband earlier this year. I want to say
Mhm.
around April.
Yeah, April 9th.
And everybody that knew him loved him. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get a chance to meet him in person. I feel sad about that, but he really touched a lot of people. And I just watching you and following you and stalking you a bit on your profile, I just saw how it really it was like a Mack truck ran over everybody on your team, um, and I know you were deeply and passionately in love with him. Is there anything you'd like to say about Steele, or do you want to just move on off that topic?
Steele was one of the absolute best paranormal researchers that I ever had the pleasure of working with. And a lot of people will joke and say that it was because I trained him, which I did. But, you know, being a paranormal researcher of his caliber is not something that can be taught. And so he already had it within him, to be thorough and investigative, and the ability to scrutinize, and not just jump to conclusions. Every little sound, oh my gosh, it's a ghost, or every little blip on the screen, oh my gosh, it's a ghost. And stuff like that can't be taught, the intellectual and reactionary skills. So I can honestly say that he was one of the absolute best paranormal researchers I ever had the pleasure of working with. And I am even more blessed that I got to be his wife. And I'm so thankful that he is home with Jesus. And someday I will get to join them both, but not today. So yeah, that's.
Well, when he passed, I lit probably the largest candle I've ever seen that I've been saving in my house here, and it burned for weeks before it burned out. But I offered up some prayers for him, and I lit a candle for him, and I've been praying for you too. And so I'm honored that this is your first. You're getting back up on the saddle again and kind of getting out there. Do you want to? You know what? I have to add this last thing. I promise this will be the last thing I add.
Okay.
That has to be one of the main reasons why a lot of people reach out to me is loss.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody deals with it different, but you took some time away,
I did.
and some people don't. Some people they they um, they grieve by not grieving and just diving back into life and work and doing what they normally done. And I find when people do that, more times than not, next thing you know, one day when they least expect it, the grieving just all of a sudden just explodes like an atom bomb on them, and they're done. They're down for the count for a while. You have any recommendations for anybody that may be going through what you went through on how to get through that?
Um, everybody grieves differently. I had to take time off. I was working full time and going to school full time and running CCPI full time and running my publishing company full time. And I had to come to a complete stop for a little while. And that was one of the best things that I did. Uh, I lost so much so fast. I had to move out of the house that we shared. Uh, I was given less than a month to get out of our home. And so I had to part with a lot of my possessions and his possessions, um, and dealing with familial issues, people going, gimme, 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 I want, I want, I want, uh, things like that, and of course, having to make difficult decisions about, um, to bury or to cremate or what to do with the ashes and things of that nature. Luckily, Steele and I had discussed that beforehand, but the decision that we had made and agreed upon before he passed ruffled a lot of feathers, and so I had to deal with a lot of um, family turmoil also. So taking a step back and just giving myself time to grieve and to process and to feel my emotions was the best thing for me. For some people, they function better if they just plow through it. But for me, it was, I had to take that step back. I had to stop investigating. I gave myself 6 months to, to grieve and to process and, tie up loose ends and move. And before I got back on the horse and started riding again. So.
Well, I still, you're on my prayer list. I still pray for you all the time. Do you want to save the title of the new book and the release date when it comes out, or do you want to tell everybody a little bit about that?
Well, I don't know if that's one of Annette's questions or not that she wants to ask me about. So I don't want to give away the book.
God bless you for saying that, because here I go again. Why don't you two just chat? I'm going to have a drink of green tea.
Okay, Annette, fire away.
First of all, I want to say heartfelt condolences and prayers. And that's just really, so touching that happened and all that you've been through. It really touched my heart to hear your story. And then secondly, I was thinking I would love to see one of your ghost ornaments.
Oh, do you want to see one of my ghost ornaments? I can show you this year's.
I should have took mine from last year and brought it in here, but
well, I have last year's on the tree also. Let's see what was last year's.
It was a little ghost.
Yeah.
Really
cool it's ghost. The one that had Merry Christmas across the front, right?
Correct.
Okay, let's see if I can find one of last year's. Oh gosh, do I have any of last year's? I don't know that I have any of last year's on the tree, but I have this year's. So I will show one of this year's. Here is this year's ghost ornament. It's a little snowman.
Too cute.
Yeah, they are cute.
Yeah. So I need to figure out what I did with last year's.
It's been on the tree. It's been on my tree ever since.
Yeah.
I never take a tree down. Everybody cracks up and thinks that's the funniest thing.
Yeah. So I can turn the camera around a little bit and show you. I've got a black Christmas tree, and it's got all the little ghosties that I've done in years past.
And what are you making them out of?
They're all made out of balsa wood that I hand paint and design.
Cute.
Yeah.
See, besides the bracelets, I'm sitting here next to all my yarn because I like to make things. And so I just wanted to see one of your ghost ornaments. I thought that sounded really interesting.
Yeah, I hand make a different one every year, a different design every year.
Very cool. So I did want to ask about your book. And I also saw another book on your page that was so interesting to me about trains.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Phantom Trains and Haunted Rails of the U.S. is actually my bestseller.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of books about that. And there's a lot of legends and lore surrounding trains and train tracks. And I know that a lot of towns have a story about haunted train tracks. And one of the most common is that there's like little handprints on cars or vehicles of any kind, buses that get stuck going across the tracks and the train's coming.
Yeah, a lot of those legends that involve the handprints, we've actually been able to debunk that, and it's a very common occurrence. Has absolutely nothing to do with train tracks, but in the natural oils on your hands. So when you touch that trunk lid to open or close it, you leave obviously fingerprints, and your hands leave oils on there. And then when you drive down that dusty road, the oils from your hands kind of repel that dust. And so what you're left with is a handprint on the trunk of your car that, from a road that you just happen to be driving down in the vicinity of railway crossing or train tracks or something of that nature. But the book that I wrote, oh gosh, I don't remember how many years it's been now. It's been several. The book features a lot of the really popular ghost lore about phantom trains and haunted train tracks. We talk about the Lincoln death train in and around the Chicago area, and a lot of other long-standing.
So cool, because I'm from
Mhm.
Chicago, but I don't know that story.
Yeah, it's there's it, and it's not just limited to the Chicago area. There's several sightings of it along the route that the train took that carried Lincoln's body, back home to where he was laid to rest. Um, and there are, it's usually around the anniversary of his assassination, which, I'm sure, it took him quite a while to actually die once he was shot. He did not die right away in Ford's Theater. They actually took him across the street to the Peterson house, and he lingered for a long time before he finally succumbed to the bullet wound. And there are a lot of sightings of that train that took his body home after he passed, usually around the anniversary of his passing. People report seeing that train coming down the tracks.
Wow, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really love that story too, because I have a son that lives in Springfield, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Lincoln's home and his grave and all that stuff, and just really, really interesting. And he was such a sad person because he lost his son and he had a lot of grief in his life, and things weren't easy for him anyway. So I feel empathy for that, because I read a lot about how hard it was for him after his son died.
Yeah.
Yeah, they see him a lot. People that work in the White House see his spirit all the time.
Yeah, there's a great book out. It was intended to be a children's book, but I actually did a college paper on it. It's by Belanger, not Michelle, but her husband, Jeff
Yeah.
Belanger,
Oh yeah.
called
Okay.
"Who's Haunting the White House."
Cool.
Yeah.
And it talks about the ghost cat, that predicts, the national tragedies. It talks about Lincoln's ghost, Dolly Madison. Lots of really interesting haunted tales about the White House.
Oh, you just know that place is infested. Something.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a documentary about paranormal at the White House, and they said that which president and his wife, they lost a son at a young age, and she started having seances
I
and
think that
things like
wasn't
that.
that
That was
Lincoln's wife?
Lincoln. That was
Yeah.
Lincoln. Yep, Mary Todd Lincoln was hosting seances in the White House.
And it started all kinds of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And that was back kind of during the time of spiritualism movement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right around the same time that the Fox sisters were doing their shenanigans with the knocking.
Right. That's an interesting story too.
Mm-hmm.
You did you know what I think's really cool about you is every time I turn around, you're doing another experiment. And you go out there and you start these experiments
Mm-hmm.
and you don't finish them until you either have decided I just can't figure out what's going on here, or I have figured out what's going on, and this is it. Believe it or not, this is my findings.
Mm-hmm.
And you did a pretty intense one about ley lines,
Mm-hmm.
phantom hitchhikers,
Yep.
and we've all experienced that. And we're talking about trains. Um, some people think that uh, really buy into the ley line thing, and some people believe that train tracks create their own ley line type of thing. They fall under that umbrella. And then you also have these phantom hitchhikers
Mm-hmm.
on roads, some of these really old roads where a lot of things have happened on them. And there's a little belief system there that some of these roads also become in their own way a sort of a ley line.
Mhm.
How do you feel about all of that I just dumped in your lap?
So the Phantom Hitchhiker project was a project that we ran for years, um, collecting data and compiling that data and analyzing that data regarding um, roadside locations where an accident of some sort, usually vehicular, resulted in at least one human fatality. And what we were trying to ascertain with that data was if those locations or if those accidents resulted in GPT, geographic psychic trauma, be that energy imprint on the area from that traumatic death. Um, and I, it ultimately resulted in the book that I released in 2021 called The Phantom Hitchhiker Project in America's Haunted Roadways. And I'm not gonna give it away about what our experiment um, concluded, but I will say that that experiment did prove, and I'm always hesitant to use the word proof and prove as it pertains to paranormal research because you know uh, the, to prove something, you have to be able to uh, present it in court. Evidence is something that you can present in court. We use data, um, but what we did was we were able to prove that paranormal research can be conducted scientifically. You can utilize the scientific method, by identifying your controls and your variables and creating a replicable experiment. And the Phantom Hitchhiker Project did that for us. And again, the book came out 3 years ago, and it's a great book. A lot like Phantom Trains and Haunted Rails of the U.S. It talks about a lot of really interesting, unique, and different haunted roadside locations. Where people either see a phantom car or a person or even an animal in one case at these, along these roads. Now, as it pertains to ley lines, uh, ley lines are the imaginary energy fields, that are thought to, crisscross around the globe. Um, Whether trains can be a ley line of sorts, I think they can because of their material composition. The tracks themselves, not the ties. The ties are pretty grounding, but the tracks themselves can conduct that energy and thus create a ley line. The intensity of it, I'm not sure. That's not something that I have researched, but I'll definitely throw it out to the team going, hey, should we be, looking at train tracks as well as this? But as far as the road locations, um, I really don't think that roads themselves are ley lines. It's possible that roads may run parallel to or on top of or even intersect with a ley line, and that could kind of charge a specific area to be more conducive to spectral activity. But roads themselves, I'm not inclined to think that they are inadvertent ley lines.
Yeah, I was interested to see what you thought about that because I'm thinking of a time when I spent all night at this park here in Vegas that sits right on the old Spanish
Hmm.
Trail, and they
Hmm.
even left a large portion of the Spanish Trail in the
Hmm.
middle of this park. Um, and I sat there on a park bench with a tape recorder running all night long and didn't. It was a really boring night, but when I got back home and listened to the tape back, I I could hear what sounded like horses and
Yep.
carriages and
Wow.
gunfire. It was pretty intense.
Hmm.
And I remember one time looking into a half a dozen or so cases of people that had reached out to me thinking they were living on cursed land, and it was all around in the Midwest.
Mhm.
And what I ended up finding was one thing this all these little towns had in common was a lot of railroad tracks,
Mhm.
and they were near water,
Yeah.
whether it was a lake or some ponds or mainly running like a river.
Mhm.
And there's that theory too that even bodies of water or like rivers
Mhm.
end up being like a conduit for paranormal activity,
Mhm.
or in their own weird way. I keep using the term ley line, but in their own way, this is a watery ley line.
Mhm.
This the energy that's created by this stream of river water going through these towns. Have you experienced that?
Yes, absolutely. And it's no secret that, because water is such an amazing conductor of electricity, that, it is also there's a very popular theory about water also being able to conduct paranormal energy. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
Bless
Bless
you.
you.
Um, and oh, hey, my sister's watching. Hi. That's my sister Amy in the chat room.
Hi,
Um,
Amy.
Hi, Amy.
uh, so it's no secret that water conducts electricity, and it's a very popular theory that water can conduct the paranormal energy as well. We have a town here in Colorado that is right in the middle of all kinds of things that can conduct energy. So this town sits um, right on the Colorado River. It sits in a geothermic area. There's a lot of natural hot springs and stuff. So you've got geomagnetic instability right there, which can also conduct the energy. And then there's also underground mines.
Ooh,
So you've got the geological composition
yeah.
of the area that is known to conduct that energy as well. And we get called to this town at minimum once a year, if not more frequently, for people that are going, "Hey, there's something going on in my house." It's like, well, guess where you live.
Well,
Uh,
right away they want to think that their land is cursed, and that's not always the case. It could be the land could be haunted or be holding a lot of paranormal activity, but not
Absolutely.
necessarily cursed. And then sometimes, yes, you're there.
Right,
I do believe there's some circumstances where they
right. You
actually
just
are.
happen to live in an area where all of that energy is amplified, and it enables us to interact with it more easily.
We got a comment here from Heidi. I've often wondered about water and such. We have a high voltage power plant with a railroad track and a creek next to our town home. And this has been the most active place I lived.
Hmm.
And before I turn that over to you to comment, we were doing some experiments like that back in Illinois, Bachelor's Grove Cemetery, which is well known.
Yep, been
There's
there.
a power source, there's a water source,
Hmm.
and there's actually kind of a little trench
Hmm.
that you don't notice until it rains. The whole thing
Right.
fills up and it's encircled in water. And then back in the day, I also did a series of shows on Villisca X Murder House.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And they had a well and they had a great big power source there. And it tends to be that those things can help or amplify. And also limestone.
Hmm.
A lot of limestone buildings tend to hold energy.
Hmm.
So it's very interesting. It's like certain things are, what would you call it? An amplifier, a conduit? Is it enabler or just an amplifier?
It can be a conduit or an amplifier. Limestone, when you're referring to piezoelectricity, um, it's more of a conduit than an amplifier. But when you get into substances like granite that have a high quartz content, then you've got an amplifier. Quartz was used in old radios in order to amplify those radio waves and conduct that conduct those signals better. So, areas with a high quartz content are going to amplify, whereas limestone is merely going to be a conduit. And it's funny that you mentioned Villisca. And I don't know if like I said, my sister's listening. I don't know if she knows this, but our grandmother was born in Villisca.
Oh,
And yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
such a really interesting case and also such a tragedy.
Yeah.
Very heartbreaking to this day. They really don't know what happened there.
Yeah, it's still unsolved.
I wanted to bounce. Oh, your sister goes, what? um, I wanted to bounce back and ask you on the Phantom Hitchhiker thing. I have also heard some stories where the Phantom Hitchhikers were angelic. Did you collect any stories like that?
Yeah, there's one story in the book that I came across. Yes, Amy, Granny Tad. Um, there's one story that I came across near New Orleans, where it's believed that the Phantom Hitchhiker in question is a visiting angel.
Which is not our show endorsing that anyone in 2024 should pick up Hitchhikers. But,
Right.
there was a curious case. Well, not cases. I guess it would be legend, but back home in Illinois on Archer Avenue of Resurrection
Mhm.
Mary.
Yep.
And sometimes she would just appear in the car already. You
Mhm.
didn't even have to stop.
Right.
And there were so many people that told that story. And then also at the cemetery, the iron bars, there's a spot where it looks like the hands pulled the bars apart
Mhm.
and just all kinds of crazy things.
Yep.
So,
That's a lot
I
of
had a
energy right
lot of
there.
fun investigating and researching that whole area, in Justice, Illinois, that
yeah,
whole Archer Avenue.
yeah.
I think there's at least 3, maybe 4 locations along Archer Avenue that I wrote about for that book.
Really,
Wow.
did
Yep.
you do oh, what was the name of that church? They
Yep.
would call it Monk's Castle,
Yep. Yep.
but
I
it's
did.
actually St. James.
Yep. St. James.
We went
St.
there.
James of the Sag. Yep.
They're very frowny face about anything paranormal. They don't like you.
Yeah.
If you look like you're doing that, they don't like that very much. But again, there they are with the water source. There they are with the
Hmm.
limestone.
Yep.
And yeah, I've been there a bunch of times, and there's just crazy stories. And they have a policeman that wrote about it in a report.
Hmm.
He saw monks running around in the cemetery.
Yep.
So, that tends to lend a lot of credibility. And people hear a horse drawn carriage coming up to those gates.
Hmm. Yeah. And there's another phantom horse-drawn hearse that comes out of Archer Woods and travels along Archer Avenue. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff on Archer Avenue, and I'm not sure exactly what it is
Well,
about Archer Avenue itself.
I
Uh,
have to tell you a couple more quick things. One is there's a lab out there that does all kinds of experiments, and it's supposed to be all hushy hushy.
mhm.
And they made a type of white deer that's genetically altered, and you can see white deer out there. And here's a second thing, and this one's really mind blowing. That movie Fat Man and Little Boy, that first nuclear
Mhm.
bomb,
Right.
that is buried right by St. James Church. Hardly anybody knows it. There's a little plaque way deep in the woods, and they buried it there, University of Chicago. And that is why all of that is woods around there, because they didn't want people building homes where that radioactive material
Oh,
was.
yeah.
And all of the water pumps have the handles taken off.
Mhm.
And they didn't know how to safely, properly bury a nuclear bomb. But if you look on Google overhead, you can see the square and it'll show you where it's buried. But that was hush hush for a while. And that's why that's all a wooded area.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And depending on when that happened in relation to a lot of the paranormal activity, that that radioactive energy could be acting as an amplifier for Archer Avenue.
That's why I brought it up.
I haven't done a lot of research on radioactive energy as it pertains to spectral entities,
Sure.
but that's my next research project.
It's a maybe.
I decided to do something different today. Everybody's used to me doing the prayer urn in the beginning of the show. I'm going to do that at the end of the show, and the mailbag at the beginning of the show. Two things I decided to do in an effort to get my guest on quicker and then not to have to wait for me to go through all of that. I'm going to do the prayer urn at the very end of the show, but I decided to save the mailbag for all of us because so many times I pull questions out of the mailbag and they're right in my guest's wheelhouse.
Right.
And so let me pull the mailbag real quick here and get a question out and put your guys' feet to the fire here.
Okay.
This is from Carl G. in Oklahoma.
Hi, Carol.
I have heard you mention being fooled by spirit. I do a bit of ghost busting myself and attend occasional ghost hunts and tours. I too feel I have been fooled before. How can you tell the difference? Is there a way to know? I'm going to refer that to my student.
No pressure at all.
What do you think?
Wow, that's a tough question. Because
I'll tell you what I'm going to read real quick here. Something that I always. Yeah, it is in here.
I've got a quick answer, but I'm sure Carl's looking for a more in-depth answer.
Dear friends, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world. This is how you can recognize the Spirit of God. Every spirit that acknowledges that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is from God, but every spirit that does not acknowledge Jesus is not from God. This is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you have heard is coming, and even now is already in the world. 1 John chapter 4, verse 1 through 3.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So my quick answer was going to be, you can't. In this field, we never know.
Yeah, true.
You never know.
I've been fooled many times. Big time, yeah. But I do always ask them that question. And
I was going to say that if your intuition nudges you to ask, are you from God? Are you good? Are you from the light? Then you already have a reason that you feel like this isn't, and the energy around what's going on is just as important as what happened. Some of the things that happened to me that sound really scary, I didn't get an energetic feeling of a heavy fear or dread or panic. And some of the things that didn't sound very scary that I would tell actually had that feeling. So it's like the emotional feeling that you have with the event, and not just the event in and of itself, but like something inside you feels like, I don't know about this. I don't know.
That makes perfect sense.
Do you have in the few minutes I have left with you before I've got to kick you out of here, do you have any signature cases that you're proud of that really your team, and God, your team's been together for a long time.
Yeah.
That you and your team have made their bones on. Any one case that whenever you guys get together around the CCPI water cooler, you guys always go to, do you remember that one time we
just did that last night, actually.
Yeah.
Well, we were explaining to a person who isn't on our team this investigation, and I think I even consulted you on this one at some point. And ultimately, we ended up having to call an exorcist out of Texas to come and deal with this. We kept going back and going back and going back. 3 of us physically saw what we were dealing with. And let me tell you, when you see one, that is not something you ever forget.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah.
But we always come back to that case. It involved a family of 3 at the time. The husband was a desert veteran, enduring freedom, I think. Suffered a TBI while he was in service, and then came back. And when he came back, that's when all hell literally broke loose. And it got to the point where both parents were fearful for their infant child. They called us in, we investigated, we saw what we were dealing with, and went, whoa, you know. But at one point, we were using the spirit box in the living room of this house. And the spirit box, is programmed to speak whatever language you tell it to. And all of us are English speakers. We don't have anybody bilingual on the team right now. And one of my investigators, Sarah, she would hold the spirit box and it would start cursing her out in Spanish.
Wow.
Using profanity.
Hmm.
And I would take the spirit box back, and look at it going, how did it get set on Spanish and why is it cussing her out? And it's speaking to me in English. And I check the settings and it's set to English and give it back to her and it's cursing her out in Spanish again. And it's like, okay, Sarah, let's just not touch the spirit box. And the spirit box is a very monotone device.
Mm-hmm.
It'll say, fish, cereal, toast, picture, it doesn't change its vocal patterns. It's very monotone. And we had it sitting out on the ottoman in the middle of this living room, and it was quiet for a long time. And all of a sudden this spirit box goes, Norman.
Yeah.
And but eventually, we saw what we 3 of us physically saw what we were dealing with. And I'm like, nope, that's it. I'm pulling the plug. And we ultimately ended up calling an exorcist out of Texas to come and deal with it because it was nasty. So yeah, that's one that we keep going back to.
All the people that are out there right now going, I want to check out some of her books and check out her team. How can people find you and get a hold of you or get your books?
Okay, so the best way to reach the team, reach me, there's a list of books on there. Everything is through the CCPI website, which is www.coloparanormal.com. There's an About Us section where you can find my bio. It's got my list of books on there, and there's also a Contact Me button on there, so you can shoot me an email. Please don't send me pictures of your dust orbs saying, hey, I took this picture in this cemetery and I was totally haunted, and it's full of dust orbs. I don't want to see it. You're not going to like what I have to say about it. But
did you have fun when you come back?
Yeah, absolutely.
Come back soon, Clarissa. You were so interesting. I so enjoyed it. And for all of our listeners, we love you. And if you want to help us out, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, click that notification bell, and never miss another show. We've got some great stuff coming up.
Clarissa, you hang in there. I love you. I respect you. Don't change for nobody. And keep doing what you do. And I'll reach out to you with some dates here soon and get you back as soon as we can, okay?
I would love that. Take care.
We'll talk to you later.
Bye, Clarissa. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so I know that you're gonna handle the bracelets after the show's over, correct?
I wrote down the names of everybody that typed the word bracelet, and I'll give them, again, I'll give them till midnight, and I'll come back and look at the comments, and then I'll do a little drawing, and we'll put that on Facebook, And then we can say who won again next Friday in case they don't know us on Facebook. We'll announce it. And that should be fun. So
Very, very cool. Next week's guest, this is gonna be another one you're gonna love. I don't know if you two have met. This will be Friday, December 6th, 2024. She is the founder of Exploration Paranormal. It's a team. And she's also the host of a show called Exploring the Paranormal. Author Heather Lee Landon, PhD.
nice.
Be here next Friday. You're gonna love her. I'm gonna make sure I give you two a chance to chat a bit. You ready for this week's joke?
Yes. I always feel dumb with these jokes. I never guess what the answer is. Not
They're-
even once.
I'm telling you, they're coming in. Tons of them now. Okay. When do computers overheat?
When do computers overheat?
When they need to vent.
Okay. When they need to vent.
I love you and respect you. I'll talk to you later, okay?
Thanks, everybody. Thank you. And thanks to Clarissa. She was awesome.
I'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Brothers and sisters, I don't have any prayers in the prayer urn today. 2 reasons why I waited till the end of the show. But I decided, because I've been praying, I've been going through all the prayers in the urn. But what I want to do for everybody right now, and that's what I'm going to be doing on a regular basis now, the prayer at the very end and the mailbag with my guest. But because Advent kicks off this Sunday, I thought I would make, and so many people are searching for stuff right now that I'm going to say my new favorite prayer out of the St. Benedict prayer book, and it's called Searching for God. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. I offer this prayer up to everybody within the sound of my voice. O Lord my God, teach my heart this day where and how to see you, where and how to find you. You have made me and remade me, and you have bestowed on me all the good things I possess. And still I do not know you. I have not yet done that for which I was made. Teach me to seek you, for I cannot seek you unless you teach me, or find you unless you show yourself to me. Let me seek you in my desire. Let my desire in you in my seeking. Let me find you by loving you. Let me love you when I find you. Amen. All right, brothers and sisters, thank you to United Public Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM New Orleans, and Joe and Michelle DeRoche for all making that happen, carrying my show. God bless them for that. And God bless each and every one of you for tuning in, because I don't have a show without you guys. Remember, don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Got a great show coming up. Spirit Switchboard with Carrie Lynn Shellhorn is coming up next. And remember, brothers and sisters, we may have done what the devil said we did, but we are not who the devil says we are. If you want to be a sponsor of the show, reach out. Okay? Good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, Dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. God bless you all. I love you all. God bless you in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Peace.